Hello guys, this is Disposal Countings back for yet another video. In this one, we will be reviewing the top 15 picks from this year's draft. So to review them, we'll be giving them a grade from A+ to D-, and we'll be starting from pick 15 and working our way down to pick number 1. So I've watched footages of these people's gameplay, I've read up articles on them, all just to give you guys a great description and an insight into these top 15 draft picks. So please like and subscribe. Hopefully you enjoy. So at pick number 15 we have Connor Stone, who went to the Giants. Now Stone is a medium forward, weighing 81 kilograms and 108 centimeters, meaning he has decent size. So on his NAB League debut, he did kick 5 goals, which did show his class. And some of his strengths is that he's very good footy IQ and has finishing abilities, which is also complemented by his athleticism and endurance. This all makes him a very good player. However, he does lack consistency and some explosive speed, but with some work, I reckon he can improve on these aspects of his game. So taking this into account, I'm going to rate this pick a B-. If you get some game time and learns from Toby Green, who probably is a very similar forward to him, he can become very high quality. But I reckon he's also one of those players who could easily be delisted in 3 to 4 years' time if he does in fact not play that many matches. So pick 14 went to Fremantle Dockers and they chose Heath Chapman. So Heath Chapman is a key defender who can play different positions, similar to that of Mark Blakarvis of Geelong. He does have very good intercept marking abilities and does also have a great kick on him, meaning he can be damaging in offense as well as defense. He can also read the play and has enough endurance to get by. His main weakness is his size as a key position player. He doesn't have the size that you would probably want, but as we saw with Luke Ryan in 2020, you don't really need size. If you can jump and mark the ball, you can become a great defender. So I'll rate this pick as a C+. This is purely because his primary position is a key defender, and the Dockers definitely don't need another key defender. The fact that he can play multiple positions, the Dockers have had terrible injury runs with their defenders, and that he's a local boy, all nearly make up for this. Don't get me wrong, he's a great talent and a great pickup at pick 14. But his positional role doesn't really suit the Dockers. So, as pick number 13, North Melbourne took Tom Powell, who is an inside mid. So, he's very good around stoppages and has great accumulation, vision, and also some clean hands. He's also consistent, which is very important, probably similar to someone like Lachie Neale. However, he does lack some kicking abilities and strength, and this is something that the Roos can easily work on and develop in him during the off-season. I rate this as an A-. The Roos definitely do need some more midfielders after Higgins departed during the off-season to Geelong, and Cunningham's starting to get older and getting more injury prone. I reckon Tom Powell is a great chance to play multiple games in 2021. So, pick number 12 was Tristan Bronn for the GWS Giants. Bronn is another inside midfielder. His main strengths are tackling power and impact on scoreboard. He'll probably play a little bit of a forward role during his first season, I imagine. He generally has an all-rounded game, which is a very good thing for a younger player. However, he is injury prone, which is probably a factor why he did slide all the way down to number 12. He reminds me very much of Tom Green, who was another Giants mid who they took last year in the draft. I rate this pick as an A purely because the Giants did lose midfield talent during the off-season, and he slid down all the way to 12th when most people were expecting him to be picked inside the top 10. I also expected him to go higher. So with pick number 11, which was a pretty big shock, LA did take Luke Peder. Now, some people even predicted him to go as late as the 3rd round, and he got pick number 11, which is pretty nice. So Peder, he's an inside mid, but he can also play forward. He played a bit of it during his younger years. He does lack class and clean ball use, but he does have great leadership, work rate, all while having tackling prowess and can impact the scoreboard, which is why I reckon the Crows pick them up so early. I rate this pick as a C-. I reckon Peder is a great player, but I would not have picked him over Bronn, Chapman, and Powell. If the Crows were lucky, they could have also picked him up at 25 or 28 as an option. I also don't think he'll play that many games in 2021, especially since Jason Haley did come over to the Crows during the off-season. So for pick number 10, Essendon picks Zac Reed. So Zac Reed is a key defender who is 202 centimeters tall, meaning he does have decent height. He also has aerial ability and intercept marking capacity, but just like many other key position players who are young, he does lack the strength to probably compete with guys like Tom Hawkins, Charlie Dixon. I reckon he will definitely fit in nicely with the Bombers' defense, along with Jordan Ridley. Could lessen the pressure on Ridley, and he also could start replacing Michael Hurley because, as we all know, Hurley's starting to get old and become injury prone. So taking all this into account, I'll rate this pick a B. He could play most matches, especially if the Bombers' defense get injured. But this is one of the picks where you have to wait and see for the impact that they have on their team. Now, Archie Perkins went pick number 9, also with Essendon, for Essendon's second first-round selection. Perkins is a mid-forward who has very good size and athleticism. He's also very explosive and is probably a very offensive minded midfielder. So he does lack accumulation and consistency though, which is probably one of his weaknesses that he definitely needs to improve to become really, really good. So I rate this pick as C+. Essendon does need some midfielders, but I reckon that there were better ones out there at pick number 9. However, he does have potential to become the next Dusty or 5-4, the Bond. And whether or not he does become one of these players is your opinion, and I personally don't reckon he will become a good player, which is why I rated him so low. Now, on the other end, I absolutely love Essendon's pick number 8 selection in Nick Cox. So Cox is a tall utility who can play both defense and offense. His great aerial ability as well as versatility and endurance. He can also kick very well on both sides, which is an enormous advantage, especially when you have to kick in tight circumstances. So practically his only weakness is his strength, but that can definitely be worked on, and in a couple of years' time, that won't even be a weakness anymore. I reckon he was greatly underrated in the lead up to this draft, and could even be top 5. So taking all this into account, I say A+ for this pick. Cox will be a great player and should play every single game for Essendon if he is fit, and if he doesn't, shame on you, Essendon. A very, very surprising thing was Elijah Holland slid back down all the way to pick number 7. Now, if I was Gold Coast, I'd be so glad I did not trade my first round pick. So Holland is a medium forward who can also rotate through the midfield. He does have great one-on-one ability and can also mark the ball overhead, which is very useful. His weakness is that he does need to focus more on his midfield development, but the Suns already have Anderson and Rao, so they don't really need another younger midfielder. I reckon he will play the majority of his career as a forward. So I rate this pick an A. He did slide down back so much, which is one of the reasons why he's up there. And also, Gold Coast does have a very young lineup, and he should fit right in. Pick number 7 was Denver Granger Barris for Hawthorn. Granger is a key defender and is very, very talented inside the top 5 for talent. He is very, very good footy IQ and can leap and take intercept marks. He does need to improve his strength like most young key defenders, but as I said previously, that can be worked on. I rate this as an A+ pick. Hawthorn desperately need new key defenders due to Sicily's injuries, Frawley's departure, and McAvoy's age. Yes, they are getting Hardigan, but he is too starting to become old and injury prone. I reckon Granger should play every single game this season, even if Sicily does return. So the Swans also did manage to snag Brayden Campbell at pick number 5 after picking him up using Next Generation Academy rules after Hawthorn placed a bid on them. So Campbell is a mid forward who has great vision and can also impact the scoreboard easily. His weakness does lie in accumulation, meaning he does make a lot out of his touches. I reckon he was picked higher than I thought he would, and he should have been picked lower. So taking this into account, I'm going to rate him a C. Campbell was going to the Swans no matter what, and I reckon the Swans were just unlucky that he could have easily slid out of the top 10, and they could have gone in for much cheaper. Another Swans pick number 4, was Logan McDonald. McDonald did play in the Waffle this season, and he did kick quite a lot of goals. Can't exactly remember how much, but I'm pretty sure he came second in the leading goal kick in the Waffle. Now this means that McDonald does have the experience playing against older bodies, which means he should be more AFL ready than other key forwards that are going in this draft. So he also has a great forward craft, and he's good at one-on-one contests, which is also very useful. He does need to work on his explosiveness, but he does have quite a lot of strengths that make up for this. Overall, I would say an A+. I'm very surprised Logan McDonald slid all the way down to pick number 4, and the Swans were very, very lucky that he did, because they definitely need a key forward, especially with Buddy starting to get... I'm not sure if Buddy will come back. I reckon one more season for Buddy and then he's done. And Swans need another key forward, which is why this pick is so good. Pick number 3 was another very, 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 very surprising pick when North Melbourne took Will Phillips as pick number 3. So Phillips is an inside midfielder who can accumulate possessions and tackle, but he can also burst away from the pack. This makes him very, very useful. He does need to work on his repeat efforts, but with good coaching and practicing, he can definitely destroy this weakness. Overall, B-. They could have picked a better player, especially since they need a key forward due to Ben Brown's departure, but Phillips is also a great player and could become a Brownlow medalist one day, I reckon. He has talent. This kid, he has talent. I reckon if they needed to, North could have traded down the order to pick him up, but I reckon just as pick number 3, getting him would fit some of the holes that they have in their team. So, going on to pick number 2, Adelaide had Riley Thorpe. Now, Thorpe is a key forward who has very good air ability, athleticism, and reach. He can also cover ground and can play as a backup rocker for Riley O'Brien with his versatility. He does lack durability though, as well as explosive speed. So, but taking this into account, I'd say overall an A+. Now, this is mainly because he is a local boy and did support the Crows in his youth, meaning that he will most likely be a franchise player, if there's such a thing in AFL. So he does also fit the Crows' need for a very, very good tall forward, because Taylor Walker is declining, as we all know, and Darcy Fogarty can't seem to fill in the gap. The rest of their key forwards are just second or third key forwards, I reckon. Great pick. I would pick him over the top of Logan McDonald if I was Adelaide as well, purely just because he was an Adelaide supporter and he lives in Adelaide, meaning he will probably be a very loyal player. And that's something that I value very highly, and if I was a selector, I'm sure I would value it as highly as the Adelaide selector. So pick number 1, no surprise, was Jamar Ugelhagen, who went to the Bulldogs after they matched Adelaide's bid on him. Now, Jamar Ugelhagen is no doubt the best talent of this draft. It was just a question whether or not Adelaide would bid on him number 1 or not. So Jamar Ugelhagen, I'm pretty sure, as you all know, is a key forward, and he does have all the strengths that a key forward needs. Doesn't have that many weaknesses. Great pick. I'll just give it an A. He should definitely help Aaron Norton, as Josh Bruce failed to do this during the 2020 season. Absolute disappointment, Josh Bruce. I'm just going to be brutal honest. Jamar Ugelhagen should take your spot, and he should play every single game this season. So anyway, guys, thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe. Hopefully you enjoy. See you next time.